Hey guys, what is up? It's Lemley FPV back here with another video, and today I'm going to show you what is actually inside this drone that I fly. Now, it's a special drone. I built it myself. I use the DJI FPV System. It's an FPV drone, by the way, and if you haven't heard of those, they're really a lot of fun. They're really fast, and I have full manual control of them, so that means I can do flips and other fun stuff like that. If you don't know what this channel is about, I do a lot of FPV drone flying, and yeah, check out my other videos if you want to see more. But right now, let's get to the what's inside of my build. So, first of all, what you need to know is I have these Vanover motors. They're really smooth. They're actually built for racing motors, and FPV drone racing is where you go through a series of gates and in a lap, and you do that basically over and over to try to get the fastest time, and multiple drones race at the same time to try, see who wins. But I do more freestyle, which is more, flips. It's freestyle, do whatever you want. But these motors are meant to go fast, racing motors. But I like them, they're really nice. They're Hype Train Vanover motors. I like that they're blue. Put blue electrical tape on here, which, matches the motors. But also, it shields the motor wires from the spinning prop, and then just tape them to the arms with electrical tape. And as you may have heard me say before, I use the DJI digital FPV system, which is this transmitter. I made my own paracord neck strap, because when you're flying, holding the transmitter can be a bit tough, and especially if you drop it, that'll be even tougher. But here are the goggles. You can see they're very high quality goggles. But yeah, so that's what I use for my goggles, FPV system, and radio system. These are the batteries that I use. This is a 1550 milliamp hour 6S battery, which means it's 22.2 volts nominally. Usually that's what it's supposed to be, but when it's fully charged, it goes up to 25.2 volts, which, to put it in perspective, that's for most cars, that's double, almost double the voltage, and it can pretty much start a car if you wanted to do that for some reason. But yeah, and then here's my other battery, smaller battery, 1300 milliamp hour. Again, 6S. So just a bit smaller, a bit lighter. Gets me shorter flight times than this big battery, but I mean, it's lighter, gives you a little bit more punch. It allows you to go faster, a little bit faster. To charge my batteries, I use the IMAX B6 balance charger, and I use a balance charging board since I have 2 of these batteries. I'm planning to get more, but we'll see. So yeah, that's the gear not on the drone. Now let's move to the parts on the drone. So the top plate actually comes off. There are these little screws here. There's these little screws here, and yeah, so that's what holds the top plate on. I have 8 of them right here. That would be right here. So I'll unscrew this final screw. take the top plate off. And now we can see what's underneath. So, this is the DJI Air unit right here. This is my battery connector. Here's the camera that I'm running. It also goes with the DJI Air unit. It's part of it. This is just a camera lens protector that I have on, since you know you're crashing at really high speeds. Let me see if I can get this off. But it protects the lens from like getting shattered and stuff like that. That's this. And this is what the camera looks like. It's mounted on to the frame right now, but yeah, that's the DJI FPV camera. It's really nice, this FPV system, because it's the first digital system that ever came out to the market, which is a new type of system. But because other people usually fly analog, which is older technology. But I really like this system. Hang on, let me get this on. Is it on? Alright. Let me put this back on. So I am actually running the Holy Bro. Actually, I'll have to take this out to take off the stack. I am running the Holy Bro Kakut F7. It's an F7 processor, which is one of the most powerful ones. It's more powerful than an F4 or an F3 processor, which are the lower two. They're sort of older technology. This is a very modern build, but it's a really good processor, really reliable. I haven't had any problems with it. Ooh, that came off. Not sure when that happened, but it doesn't seem to affect the performance of it. Anyways, that's just a connector that connects it to the DJI Air unit. But anyways, really nice flight controller. This is basically the brain of the drone. It basically takes the input from the receiver, my transmitter right here, and does all this stuff to the motors to make it fly smooth. It makes the motor, it controls the motors to determine whether, if I move the stick over a little bit, it will send this signal to the motors that will turn the quad that certain direction and how you moved it and everything. So it does all this stuff to it and basically figures out what each of the motors are doing at a given point and outputs that. Okay, so now let's check out the electronic speed controllers, which are underneath the flight controller. It's mounted, vertically one on top of another. Alright, so this is my flight controller. It's a little bit dirty right now because my friend crashed the drone. But you see these little rubber things right here. These are actually to isolate the flight controller from the vibrating of the motors, and because the vibrating of the motors mess up the gyro inside of here, which lets the flight controller know where it is in space and what direction it's facing. So the vibrations can get into the gyro and mess up the flight controller a little bit. So this just helps prevent that from happening. And then we see underneath the flight controller, we have the electronic speed controllers, or ESCs. This basically takes the input from the flight controller, what the flight controller, decodes the receiver and tells the motors what to do. So the ESC takes that information and outputs the high power output to the motors, the raw output that goes into the motors. And you see I soldered the motors, which basically means I use this iron right here, which goes up to a very high temperature, and then I use this, put this metal on it, and the metal melts and joins the wire to the pad on the ESC, which, as you can see, makes a pretty solid joint, and we need that for drone racing since you're going so fast and you need to pass so much power through it. But yeah, that's my ESC. As I told you before, the air unit right here. I have this thing which basically smooths out the power, because the raw power from these batteries, the voltage is not, stable. It can fluctuate up and down. So this capacitor, it's called a capacitor, it smooths out the current, so it's like a straight line. It's not wavering a little bit. Which helps reduce, like the noise in the system. It can actually, if you have a fluctuating power system, you can actually get bad video. So your video that will be shown in these goggles will actually have some noise in it, and it won't be, crystal clear. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my build. Oh yeah, I have a funny story about my battery connector here. It's been through a lot, and this actually first broke when a battery on my drone first came off. Like, it literally, the strap broke on the drone and flew off the drone while it was in flight, and that was scary for me because, battery wasn't connected. I wasn't getting video, so I was really scared. But it wasn't that bad, but it still broke the connector. And then, actually after that, a few days later, my battery actually sparked. So, it sparked right here, like a lightning bolt traveling from this connector to this connector, and it shorted out and a bunch of smoke came out, and so I immediately unplugged it. Thankfully, the electronics weren't damaged, but this was blackened and it still smells like charcoal a little bit. And then, I actually had a second battery come off the drone, and that actually cracked it a little bit more. But, it still works, so, if it works, don't change it. So, yeah, that's pretty much the breakdown of my drone. This video was actually requested from one of my friends, not the friend that flew my drone, a different friend, but yeah, hopefully you learned a lot. Maybe you're even considering building your own drone sometime in the future, and I'd really appreciate that. But yeah, alright, safe flying, and I'll see you later.